I am not willing to trade my values and principles or do deals with whomever simply for retaining power. Therefore, after spending the weekend reflecting on what is best for my party, for the government and for the country I lead, I've concluded that repairing our relationship across the political divide can only be done with someone else at the helm. I have therefore informed the SNP's National Secretary of my intention to stand down as party leader and ask that she commences a leadership contest for my replacement as soon as possible.
Hello everyone and welcome back to My Left Eye. Well, we always say that a week's a long time in politics and we've already gotten off to a flying start. Humza Yousaf has today stepped down as leader of the Scottish National Party. After opposition parties triggered a vote of no confidence in Yousaf last week, he vowed to fight on and make a minority government work. However, after mulling it over during the weekend, he's decided to call it a day after just over a year at the reins of the SNP. His resignation follows a torrid few weeks, with the Scottish hate crime bill receiving much scrutiny. Just days ago, he announced he was severing the party's coalition ties with the Scottish Greens and seemingly fearing that he wouldn't survive a vote of no confidence, which was due to take place later this week. He's essentially jumped before he was pushed. During a resignation statement earlier today, he thanked former colleagues and his family and said that leading the party, who currently hold a huge majority in Scotland, had been the biggest honour of his career. There's also been a bit of a shake-up in England, with Tory MP Dr Dan Poulter defecting to Labour in the last few days. More on that later, but for now, here are a few snippets of Humza Yousaf's statement to the press today. Let's see what's happening.
Good afternoon. Can I thank you all for coming? Last week, I stood here to announce the ending of the cooperation agreement between the SNP and the Greens, the Butte House Agreement, and that the SNP would seek to govern as a minority government. I made that decision as leader of the SNP as I believed ending the Butte House Agreement was the right one for the party I lead, and I still do believe that to be the case. But most importantly, I believe it was the right decision for the country. My hope was to continue working with the Greens in a less formal arrangement as the SNP moved into a new phase of minority government. Unfortunately, in ending the Butte House Agreement in the manner that I did, I clearly underestimated the level of hurt and upset that caused Green colleagues. I am not willing to trade my values and principles or do deals with whomever simply for retaining power. Therefore, after spending the weekend reflecting on what is best for my party, for the government and for the country I lead, I've concluded that repairing our relationship across the political divide can only be done with someone else at the helm. I have therefore informed the SNP's National Secretary of my intention to stand down as party leader and ask that she commences a leadership contest for my replacement as soon as possible. I cannot tell you what an honour it is being the First Minister of the country I love, the country I'm raising my family in, and the only country I will ever call home. As a young boy born and raised in Scotland, I could never have dreamt that one day I would have the privilege of leading my country. People who looked like me were not in positions of political influence, let alone leading governments, when I was younger. For those who decry that multiculturalism has failed across the UK, I would suggest that the evidence is quite to the contrary. As First Minister, I'm incredibly proud to have a fair tax system, the most progressive in the UK, where those who earn the most contribute the most. And it will always be my core belief that in a country as rich as ours, wealth must be far more evenly distributed. To my wonderful wife, my beautiful children, and my wider family for putting up with me over the years, I'm afraid you will be seeing a lot more of me from now. You are truly everything to me. And although, of course, as you can tell, I'm sad that my time as First Minister is ending, but I am so grateful, I'm so blessed for having the opportunity that are afforded to so few to lead my country. And who could ask for a better country to lead than Scotland? Thank you very much.
First Minister,
First Minister, can you make a fatal miscalculation?
have you left the party in a worse state than you found it?
What's your biggest regret?
Those were some of the finer points. The full announcement lasted almost 9 minutes, and as you saw at the end there, he didn't hang around to answer any questions from the press, but if you'd like to see it in full, I'll leave it in the description of the video. I don't think this is a surprising move given the events of the last couple of weeks. As I said before, it seems he's saving face by resigning before he loses a vote of no confidence. I'm sure that Scottish Labour and the Tories will try and smell blood and hope that they can claw back some seats from the party, but support for Scottish independence remains very strong. Let's have a quick look at Yousaf's record during his relatively short tenure, and then we'll see who could potentially be replacing him. So Humza Yousaf has only been leader for 397 days, much less than his predecessor Nicola Sturgeon, as you can see here. However, during his time he has managed to bring in a lot of successful policies. He's increased Scottish child payment benefit for over 327,000 children, supported 4,000 families with £12 million for year-round childcare, committed £500 million to create green jobs in offshore renewables, invested £6.3 billion in social security, £19.5 billion in health and social care, and over £14 billion in local authorities, delivered a national council tax freeze, committed to a new deal for business, supported investment in excess of £10 billion for the NHS pay bill, which has rewarded NHS staff in recent years during the cost of living crisis. He's published 8 independence papers outlining how to build a better Scotland with independence, used his platform to be a leading international voice for justice in Gaza, and worked with schools and women's organisations to tackle gender-based violence, amongst many other things. The mainstream media are also starting to speculate over who's going to take over as party leader. Let's just quickly look at some of the potential candidates. Kate Forbes has been touted as a potential replacement. She lost out to Yousaf in the last leadership contest. Education Secretary Jenny Gilruth has also been suggested. However, she says that she'll be supporting John Swinney should he decide to put himself forward as a potential candidate as well. It's early days yet though, so we'll just have to see what develops over the coming weeks. On to that shake-up in the English Parliament now. Dr Dan Poulter has defected from the Tories to Labour. Here's an interview with the BBC where he cited his reasons for crossing the floor. Let's see what's happening there.
I found it increasingly difficult to look my NHS colleagues in the eye, my patients in the eye, and my constituents in the eye with good conscience. And I feel that the NHS deserves better than it has at the moment in terms of how it's run and governed. The party I was elected into valued public services. It had a compassionate view about supporting the more disadvantaged in society. I think the Conservative Party today is in a very different place. Its focus is not on delivering or supporting high quality public services.
I'm not exactly sure which planet he's been living on for the last 15 years, but he seems a little slow off the mark, to say the least. Of course, the Tories have decimated the NHS a tremendous amount over the last decade and a half that they've been in power, and it's only in this last week that Dan Poulter's woken up and smelled the coffee, so it seems. The gesture is somewhat of a moot point though, as he said he'll be standing down after the next general election whether he wins the seat under Labour or not. Albeit under completely different circumstances to Humza Yousaf, he's also trying to save face by not getting completely destroyed at the next general election. It just seems a little rich to me that a doctor who has an oath to save lives and look after people's health would stand by the Tories for so long only to turn tail at the last minute. I think it's also very telling as to how closely the Labour Party and the Conservatives are aligned at the moment. If you missed yesterday's live stream, I'll go into that in a little bit more detail. Please hit the link at the top of your screen. You can check that out right now. But let us know what you think about that in the comments, as well as what you think about Humza Yousaf's resignation. As always, your thoughts are greatly appreciated. Thanks so much for watching. Please hit the subscribe and thumbs up buttons to help us out on the algorithm. We've also now got the membership program open with some great perks for you to enjoy starting from just 99p. Hit the join button or follow the links in the channel description. If you'd like to make a one-off contribution, then please hit super thanks on the video or follow the link to our Buy Me a Coffee page where you can help to show solidarity and support the channel for just the price of a tasty hot beverage. All contributions are greatly appreciated. Thanks again everyone. My left eye will be seeing you soon.